Uneducated Economist here. Got special guest Freddie with me today. We're going to talk about currencies. Now, one of the things that we had brought up in yesterday's live stream was talking about the different types of currencies that are out there. And it's pretty interesting to think about like how it is that you can do a transaction today. There are so many different forms of doing transactions when it comes to either using cash or using a debit card. And nowadays with digital transactions, you can use things like cryptocurrencies. There is so many different forms of doing transactions, and I started pulling out some of the old bills and checks and treasury notes and silver and all the different ways that I could possibly think of doing a transaction, going from thinking about barter all the way up to using legitimate currencies. Now, one of the things that we had talked about is that there's three different types of currency that we were using at the exact same time that were all being called dollars. Now, the first one that we're going to hold up here is the Federal Reserve note, which is that $5 bill right there. Freddie's going to show it off. Now, if you look at this $5 bill, right, something very interesting is being stated on this thing. Now, Freddie, can you read these little words right here and what it says? Yeah, those little words. Can you read that to the audience?
This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and is redeemable in lawful money at the United States Treasury or any Federal Reserve Bank.
Now, what is it redeemable for?
Lawful money.
Lawful money. That's pretty interesting. So if it's redeemable for lawful money, what is it?
Money.
It's a note. Well, it's a note that promises to pay. What does it say down here at the very bottom?
We'll pay for...
We'll pay to?
To the bearer.
Yeah, that's right. To the bearer.
On demand, $5.
Right. So it will pay you $5. Well, what does it mean it's going to pay you $5?
You can go to the bank and trade this in for $5.
But what are they going to give you?
$5.
They're going to give you something like this. You know what that is?
$5 coin?
No, it's a $1 coin. But it's a silver coin. What's the date on that thing?
Date? 1886.
From 1886. That's right. It's a really old one that I have. Here's another one. What's that one's the peace dollar. This one's called a silver Morgan. What's the date on that one?
1922.
1922. So what does it say on there?
Here?
No, like it says United States.
United States of America.
And then what does it say down here?
$1.
$1, right? So this is a silver dollar. This says it will pay you $5. So meaning that it would give you 5 of these. Now, something else is very interesting is that we look at this one right here. What is that?
$2 bill.
It's a $2 bill. What does it say across the top here? What kind of bill is it?
A United States note.
A United States note. This one was a Federal Reserve note, and this one's a United States note right here. What does it say for the little words?
This note is a legal tender for at its face value for all debts, public and private.
What does it say down here?
The United States of America will pay to the bearer on demand $2.
Will pay to the bearer on demand $2. 2 of these things, all right? So this and this are essentially a claim ticket to something like this. Now, what is this one?
$1 bill.
It's a $1 bill, but what does it say across the top?
Silver certificate.
Silver certificate. Now, what do the little words say?
This certificate is legal tender for all debts, public and private.
And then down at the very bottom?
$1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand.
$1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand. This is a claim ticket for one of these. These are essentially claim tickets to those, which is a claim ticket to one of these. This is essentially the base for all these currencies at the exact same time. Now you think about it, if you look at the dates on these, the oldest bill, the oldest one that Freddie was showing off is from what date?
1950.
1950, the Federal Reserve note, the fiat currency, the central banking institutions liability was from 1950. What's the U.S. Treasury note from?
1953.
1953. 3 years after the Federal Reserve note, the U.S. Treasury note was created. Not it was already created, but this particular one was created into existence after this Federal Reserve note was. And then that silver certificate, when was it created?
1957.
1957, after the U.S. Treasury note. So all three of these particular forms of currency were all in circulation at the exact same time, all claiming to be dollars, all claiming to be able to relieve your debts. They were legal tender for all debts, public and private, and some of them were redeemable for lawful money, and one of them was an actual claim ticket to the lawful money itself. And this is all different types of currency that were existing at the same time that very few people knew about. So when we think about different types of currencies that exist today, what other forms do we have out there? Now take a look at this. This, right, are two different bank ways of making currency, right? So for example, there's this check, right, that we have, a personal check. This is an old one that we have from years ago. And this one, be careful not to lose the tape on it, is a U.S. Treasury savings bond that was given to me years ago. It's going to be maturing here fairly soon. Now, both of these are different types of banking currencies. Yeah, it's the very last of the number of the check. Both of these are currencies that could be used. Well, this one, not so much a currency, but the other one, a check, can be a currency through the banking system where you don't actually have to change anything within a value of like $1, but you can write out a contract that says, hey, take it from this account and put it in that account, or just cash it out or whatever. So again, like, you can have a form of currency where you don't actually have the money in hand. You can promise it through something like that, or take a savings into something like this. And again, these are all different ways of being able to transfer money. I could put it into this and then take it with me and be able to transfer to another location and then regain my money again later on. We have other forms of currency, like doing transactions with, say, cards, right? Be sure not to show the back of these, right? So just like these cards. And by using these cards, one of them is a credit card and the other one's a debit card. One of them will take it from your account, much like this will, where the other one is a promise to pay into the future. But yet the store doesn't know the difference between these two. Now, it might know the difference in the transaction of one being a debit or credit, but at the end of the day, the balance sheet can't tell the difference. But yet these are not the same. One of them is using money that was in a bank. The other one's a promise to pay into the future. But yet the currency acts the same. All right? Now, we can even continue on with this one, and this one's my favorite, right? What's that one, Fred?
Bitcoin.
The Bitcoin, that's right. Now, that one was given to me by a buddy of mine. And what's on there is, this is actually a silver token. There's a half an ounce of silver there. But if you flip it around, you're going to see a little QR code. That's the QR code to the public key to a Bitcoin wallet. And if you were to go ahead and show that QR code to everybody. If you want to, you can go ahead and load that up with some more Bitcoin if you want. The camera's right there, Fred, if you want to kind of show it a little closer. You can load that up with as much Bitcoin as you want. But if you were to take a picture of that and scan it, and then go and look at the public wallet, you're going to find that there's a little bit of Bitcoin in there. So now two things can take place with this particular coin. I can trade the coin and say, hey, go and check it out, right? Here, Freddie, I'm going to trade this. I'm going to get some baseball cards from you. I'm going to trade you some Bitcoin, right? And we can go and check the wallet and say, hey, yeah, it's on there, plus the silver value, and all that can then be considered a currency. I can trade you that. I can get my baseball cards from Freddie, and the transaction can be completed. Or we can do something different, and we can take this case apart. There's a decal. Pull that decal off there, right, to get to behind that QR code. And there's another QR code there with the private key. And with that private key, I can generate the wallet, the Bitcoin wallet, and get that Bitcoin and send it over to Freddie's private Bitcoin wallet, and then get my baseball cards from him then. So this can actually act as two different types of currency at the same time. It has the silver content value of it. So even if you don't trust Bitcoin, don't want it, and don't need it, we can still use the silver within it because there's a half an ounce of silver there. But because it does have the capabilities of carrying a Bitcoin, and you do have to have a little bit of trust in believing that the private key has not been compromised. I personally don't believe it has. I feel confident with putting Bitcoin on here and not thinking that my buddy who had given it to me will steal it from me. Although that is kind of questionable on whether or not that would happen, considering who it is that gave it to me. Anyway, moving on. Right, Freddie? Anyhow, so this is like a future way of doing Bitcoin that's not only doing the digital transaction, but then also using the concept of the barbaric metal of silver in order to complete the transaction as well. So now, one of my favorite ones is, people have a tendency to ask a lot of times is, what if we just created our own currency? Like, could we just create our own currency and just use it? Like, have Astoria coin, or have our own, personal dollars that we use within our community, and then not really need it to be used anywhere else. Well, here we go. Disney has already done such a concept. Now, take a look at the little words written on here.
May be used as legal tender only at Disneyland Park, Disneyland Hotel, Walt Disney World Resort, and the Disney Store, USA and Puerto Rico.
Right? So now you take this to any one of those Disney locations, whether it's the hotel, whether it's the store, the theme parks, anything, right? This is legal tender at those parks. Like, I could go out there, 1, 2, 3 Federal Reserve notes, and the one, here you go, Disney note, and they would accept it as that. Now, I bought it as a souvenir, but ultimately it is legal tender in those locations, very much like the concept that a lot of people have on whether or not they should have like their own currency for their, say, local community farmers market or something of that nature. This is a perfect example of that in current situation. Now, of course, this bill is from the 90s when I was there, in my earlier 20s, having a vacation down at the time, and I thought that the dollar bill was kind of neat, and so I've held on to it ever since. But again, this is essentially that concept right here, and does it work? I would imagine it does. I don't know too many people who have Disney dollars on hand, but for me, that was kind of a fun little, thing to carry around.
From 1996.
From 1996, it was the year after I graduated. So again, we think about like what it is that we can use for different currencies out there. And I even think, here we go with this silver bar, right? Now, that's essentially the same thing as this here silver Morgan or this peace dollar that Freddie has, right? And so it's a silver, it's silver in different weight. It's 1,000 grains. It's sterling silver. It's not quite like this one. This one's, fairly close to the idea. It's 90% silver. So if you were to go into like get rid of this, like you were in a situation, you need gas money, right? Let's talk about that. You need some gas money, and you're got all these different types of coins with you, right? I got all this stuff, and I got this silver, or I got this Disney dollar, and here we got some of this Japanese yen too, right? Show off some of those Japanese yen. So we got all this stuff, and we go into a bar, right? And we're like, hey, we're going to go and try and unload this. I can't find the coin store's closed. It's like 8 o'clock at night, and it's Friday, and the bars are like really busy. So I go into a bar, and I have like, all these yen. Show off some of those yen.
So this one is my favorite. It's 1,000 Japanese yen.
Right. So we go in with this Japanese yen. Here's one that's 5,000. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Like all these really old. Show the 10,000.
So this one is a 10,000 yen.
You got to show it up a little higher.
10,000 yen.
Pretty cool, right? Now, I go in there, I have this yen, I got this Disney dollar, right? Maybe I have like a bunch of these Disney dollars. I got 20 of these Disney dollars with me. I got all these yen. I don't know how much they're worth, but I got a bunch of them. I got this here Bitcoin, and I'm guessing there's probably about $20 worth of Bitcoin on there. I got the silver Morgan. I got the silver peace dollar. I got this other silver token right here, and I need 20 bucks. And let me ask you, out of all this stuff that I have here, if you went into a bar, which one of them do you most likely think that I'm going to get $20 for first? You think that 1800 silver Morgan right there?
I don't
Do
know.
you think people would look at that and go like, yeah,
Oh no, it's from
right?
1800s,
It's from the
so
1800s. It would probably sell pretty quick. What about this sterling bar that's weighed out in grains? Do you think that would be fairly easy? Which one do you think I would probably get $20 for first? This piece dollar or that silver bar? All right? Like somebody might look at that silver bar and go like, "Yeah, I might do it." But they'll look at this piece dollar and they'll be like, "Yeah, that's the ticket right there. That's $20." All right? Why don't we read through some of these comments?
so I saw a
Did you see one up
good
there you
one
wanted to? Yeah.
earlier. Why do we have to have all different currency when the world can just have one?
Why do we have to have all the different currencies when the world can have just one? Which one do you want to use? Because I want to use this one, right? I want to use this sterling silver bar. I want this to be the currency, and I want everybody to accept that, right? Do you want to accept it, or do you want to go with this Bitcoin here with the digital thing and it has a silver token on it? I mean, that's slightly better. You can use the digital component, I'll use the silver component, and we can just kind of work together on the idea of doing a transaction. Or do you want to do like something that is going to be a little bit more in the way of a possible, like, more an anonymous transaction that's going to be a little easier? We can convert it over to the silver certificate style. All right. See which one of these is going to be the best option for you. It's going to be very difficult to say here's the one currency that we can use when there's so many different options for a possible currency. I mean, really, if you think about it, the fiat currency is a debt-based currency. It doesn't even have it's a promise to pay into the future. You don't even have to do anything to have that currency. You can just create as much of it as you want.
Okay. I saw another one, where I can't get to it, but we do have it in the house. It's yeah, see, it's Iraq, Zimbabwe currency. We do have.
Do we have a Zimbabwe dollar?
Yeah.
Or some Zimbabwe money that people had sent?
Yeah.
Yeah. What does it say about that? Do you have any Iraq? Yeah, we do actually. I'm not sure where that is exactly. I probably would have been cool to pull that out and show it off as well. But I collect currencies from all over. So I have like I pull foreign coins. I collect foreign money. I just like I've always had a like just a hobby of collecting money like that, and just coin collecting and currency collecting, and not for any kind of like value. Like I would say, hey man, this rare bill or something like that. I just did it for fun, just because I just liked all the different types of currencies and all the pictures that were on them, the different uniqueness of it.
So,
All right, there's a question there. Go ahead and scroll that one down. What was that one say? For little man.
would you rather have money you can store on a computer or rug around silver in your pocket? Well,
That's a good one.
that's hard because you with the money on you can just have around in your pocket. You always have it with you. But money in a computer, you'd have to deposit and keep it in, I would say, kind of a safer space. So I would probably say keep it in like in a bank account, instead of keeping the money with me all the time.
For the safety of having it in an account.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would be better, to have a bank account like with a checking account to keep your money safe, or to put it into something like Bitcoin?
That's hard because you can never time the market. So
Very good, kid. Very good. You can never time the market. That's right. So if you were to have, say, let's ask the question a little differently. If you had options to go with, if you could buy silver, if you could buy Bitcoin, if you could put money into your debit account, like the checking account at the bank, or you could have cash, and somebody was to give you $100, what would you do with the $100? Would you put it all in one place, or would you put it in different places? And if you put it in different places, how would you do that? What would you think about putting it, and how much?
well, I would probably put half to 3/4 of it in an account,
Like a
and
bank account?
and save up the rest in like a wallet or something.
Like in a Bitcoin wallet? Would you do like, or would you put like cash, like half in the bank and then the rest in cash?
Yes.
That's what you would do?
Yeah.
And what would you do with the cash if you had the rest of the money in the bank account? What would the cash be for?
I don't know.
Uh-oh. You know what's going to happen to that cash, right? You're going to nickel and dime it away on baseball cards, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna decrease in value.
It's going to decrease in value, but what happens with the cash in your wallet? You end up buying Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but baseball cards and Pepsis and stuff like that, right? But when it sits in the bank, it's a little harder to spend it.
Yeah.
If you were to do something with your cash besides hold on to it for baseball cards, what would you do with the cash? Besides holding it in cash, would you put it in Bitcoin? Would you put it in silver? Would you buy more baseball cards? Would you use it to go party on ice cream? Say what you would really do. Now, what you not the expected answer. What would Freddie really want to do? You'd like to go spend it on ice cream, right? Or baseball cards.
Yeah.
Baseball cards and ice cream, right? All right, why don't we go into some more questions here, bud?
Wouldn't be a kid and spend it all on candy and games.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, Freddie has fun. He bought this hat himself, right? He came to me and he was just like, Dad, here's the money. I want to buy this hat. And so, you know, he has his own style. He's actually, what do they call it? The drip, you know, Freddie's got it. He knows how to style himself up and look good. But, yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty smart with a lot of it, although you gone nuts with the baseball cards, in my opinion.
I have thousands.
You have thousands now, yeah. All right, what are some of the comments there?
I bought baseball and hockey cards, sold them 20 years later. That's what big gains. I have a lot of old cards. My oldest cards are some baseball cards from 1981, which I might sell some of them.
Yeah. He's been asking to start up an eBay account to start trading or selling his cards on. We're considering it. I think we're still a little bit, off on our pricing. I think we need to get a little bit, kind of a little closer on that to make it an active thing. But it's, it's something that he's really interested in. So it might be a business that he can start up this summer or something. Go ahead and scroll through, see if you can find some comments in there.
Pre-1989.
Yeah, let's scroll down. Smart kid. All right. Awesome lessons. You are being a blessing to your kids and us with this valuable knowledge. I wish I'd have been aware of 35 years ago. Just because you're blind doesn't mean it's not there. Don't forget to teach them frugality. It's not how much you makes, but how much you spend. Let them be a kid. I love that one. All right. Griffey Jr. was last year's to own. Yeah. I have some.
I have currently one Ken Griffey card. It's actually I think Star Players card.
No, I have a couple of the Ken Griffey Jr.
You have like 5 Ken Griffey rookies.
Yeah, I got some rookie cards that I collected way back in the day.
Also have I have 2 of them because for my birthday I got a bunch of Stadium Club cards. And I pulled Ken Griffey, Mark McGuire, and Roger Clemens.
Nice.
Games you play on PC, I don't play.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan.
Yep. Yeah. Freddie doesn't play video games. Like, he plays a little bit of video games, but not much. Like, go ahead and scroll through, see if we can find some comments or statements in there. A Nolan Ryan rookie, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I never understood the collecting of cards. Yeah, it's really weird, huh? Like, I never understood it too until I started doing it, and then you get like addicted to it, and you just want more. Go ahead and keep scrolling, but we got to keep. There we go. Here you go.
In my opinion, what is the most important thing your dad has taught you?
Oh, there
Barter.
you go. What is it?
Barter.
Bartering? Trading things?
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's it. I didn't expect that one, but that's pretty fun. Yeah, you are into trading, aren't you?
Do you believe that in the fourth turning... Wait, no. Do you believe in the fourth turning and what would happen to our currency if it happened?
The fourth churning is like this big, kind of shift in societies and how that works. It's a little complicated to try and explain to Freddie here in just a moment. But as far as like that big shift or that fourth churning going from like, into a different type of society, or creating like a new type of like environment in which that the transactions or currencies are done, how people are behaving with each other, like the family formations and stuff like that. There's a huge lot to think about with inside of that. Now I personally think it's just another phase within the within the Cantillon effect, or a lot of what it is that we experience with how manufacturing grows and then eventually has to leave that particular nation and go to cheaper places to operate and be profitable, and then what happens to societies from that. So I think that this is like just another form of what we have experienced in the past, but it's going to be very different in the sense that the technologies that we use today and how it is that we were able to retain a lot of the wealth that should have been redistributed back out there to the rest of the world. This is a whole new game that they are playing. And the more the concentration of wealth takes place, especially as the new money pours in a digital form aspect that doesn't even allow you to even get out of, who knows how far this can go and what it can end up looking like in the next decade or so. Go ahead and scroll up. Go ahead and read some.
Basically, the Star Trek...
Utopian?
Utopian.
What is that?
Utopian idea.
I guess, yeah.
Do you invest in the stock market? Tesla's going down 40x by 2030.
Is it going down? Is that what it said? Is going to 40 times by 2030. Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people have predictions of like, Tesla and, whatever, all these different talks. I don't invest in those particular things. I invest in things that I kind of know about, or more safer in the savings kind of aspect. So my investment is more into like Vanguard ETF total stock market, Vanguard ETF, Russell 1000 growth stocks, and like Altria, which is a nice dividend paying stock. It's Marlboro cigarettes, it's tobacco, whatever. I'm not into smoking cigarettes, but then there's Exxon Mobil. I've invested some into that, so I have like an energy kind of position inside of the portfolio. And then of course Coinbase, I've made a hell of a gain on. Well, I have an unrealized gain inside of Coinbase, like 250% inside of a year. It was absolutely incredible. So that's kind of the positions that I've taken inside of the stock market. I also own some mining stocks, but there's a very small position inside of that, and I don't heavily invest in mining stocks.
So, one question. Has my dad showed me around the lumberyard? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Alright. Yui, what does that one bottom one say?
I just got accepted an offer. If y'all could wish me luck, I'd appreciate it a lot.
You got an offer on what, a house? That would be cool. Yeah, good luck on that.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, good morning. Alrighty, Putz, it's great to see you here. What does that one say?
We are all in a...
Biflation? Is that what it says?
Biflation. The central bank in my country decided to lower the interest... No.
Oops, careful, yeah.
Interest rate. The Fed is not doing that.
Yeah. And this is something that you're going to find is that it's part of it. Like, if you really want to know more details about what's going to happen with inside of that kind of realm of possibilities, is to follow Brent Johnson and the dollar milkshake theory. I mean, he is so on it when it comes to the dollar milkshake theory and the strengthening of the US dollar when other nations around the world go to ease their monetary policies. it like the strengthening dollar can absolutely destroy these other nations as they have taken out debts that are due in dollars, but as they destroy their own currency trying to increase their exports, what they end up having is a problem trying to acquire the dollars they need to pay off their debts due to the strengthening currency here in the United States. And that like that's going to be very burdensome and troublesome if the Federal Reserve does not follow with the rest of the nations and lowering their interest rates along with them. What does it say, Freddie? How do you want to be? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Instead I'm really into sports. Mainly baseball.
Yeah.
So maybe a pitcher.
Yeah, you want to go and be a professional ball player? If you couldn't quite make it to the professional ball player, would you still be involved in sports?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Would you what kind of aspect would you go for if you couldn't quite be the ball player themselves?
College referee or something.
Go for like a referee kind
Or an
of go to be
umpire.
an umpire or a ref or official or something like that. Yeah, that would be cool.
Who was my favorite ball player? Ella De La Cruz, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for the $5. That was a nice super chat of you, man. Yeah, lumberjack landlord, super cool dude. So, who is your favorite ball player right now?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
Ronald Acuna Jr., Ella De La Cruz, and Shohei Ohtani.
It's so funny. I have been so far out of baseball. I don't know any of those guys. Like, back in my day, it was Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire and Roger Clemens and Wade Boggs, Ken Griffey. He was really popular. Bo Jackson, definitely Bo Jackson.
Sammy Sosa.
Sammy Sosa. Those were some of the ball players that I remember being really popular back in the day. All right, great players. He has great taste. Yeah, Freddie's really into the games. I mean, he watches a lot of baseball, a lot of.
Oh, Juan Soto. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What else are we talking about?
Who's gonna win the World Series? I'm going for the Reds.
How'd you end up liking the Reds?
Oh, De La Cruz.
Oh yeah, because of okay, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
OJ players as well as today is impressive. No, Freddie is not only is he a smart little dude, but he really he does the research. I mean, he will sit there and go back and look at old games, watches old players, learns old stats and stuff like that. I mean, kid's into it, Go ahead and cruise for more comments. All right, cruise down and see if we can find a new one. Go this way. See if we can find any questions or anything up in here. Cruise back a little ways and see if there's anything. We kind of read through all these, didn't we?
Yeah.
All right, nice. All right. Tell Freddie there's no way I could answer the question asked as easily as he is doing. He thinks on the spot like a pro. Yeah, no, I mean, one of the coolest things, like, not to talk about Freddie like he's not here, but if you were to give Freddie some food and he was to sit there and take a bite, he's going to give you one of the coolest, honest opinions that comes from somebody his age. He'll be like, it's a bit salty and could it be used a little bit more of something? Like, he knows how to describe food. And it's kind of funny to listen to him to criticize somebody's food, and they look at it like, wow, thanks, as he gives them a true, honest opinion on what the food needs or how he likes it, or if he doesn't. It's fun to watch, He ain't gonna sugarcoat it for you. It's not that good, guys. Go ahead. Oh, there you go. What's that one say?
Reds and Eric Davis and Barry Larkin and Chris Sabo were all the bomb. Yep.
Yeah. No football? No, I don't think we're much into football, are we?
I used to collect football cards. I have a couple cool ones. But nah.
Not really. What's your favorite position to play is baseball?
Baseball?
Do you,
Catcher.
yeah, the catcher. You're really good at catcher. He doesn't like. He tries hard to not let that ball pass. Does his best to stop it. Still in the younger leagues, they're not quite throwing people out at throwing the base stealers out there, the base runners, but they're getting close. And I think Freddie's going to be like on it this next season. I think he's going to be throwing some people out at throwing them out at second. So we're looking forward to next season, practicing almost every day, right?
Yeah.
Got the kids to watch because of Freddie. They say hello. Roll right on. You got some fans out there, Fred.
Future prediction: loaf of bread $20, silver $35, gold $3,500, Bitcoin $1 million.
Ooh, yeah. Let's hope for $1 million Bitcoin, Fred. We'll pay the house off with it. Actually, what I would do is I would probably borrow the money against the Bitcoin because you don't pay taxes on borrowed money because if you sell your Bitcoin, then you have to pay taxes on it. So I probably borrow the money and then figure out how to use that borrowed money to create, a better yielding asset return, whether it's a business or something else. But I don't think I would necessarily sell the Bitcoin to pay the house off because the house has a 3% interest on it. So really, I would probably figure out something else to do with that money if it ever went up that high, and borrowing against it is probably what I would do personally. But what would we think, like, a loaf of bread at $20 and silver at 35? That really doesn't seem that much. Like silver's at $30 an ounce right now, right? And so that doesn't seem like it's much of an increase for silver. I mean, I could see silver at $350 an ounce, and some hyperinflation scenario style stuff like that. And really, even at $350 an ounce, I don't think that's too unreasonable for silver. Like, I think that's like, even today, I think that would be a reasonable number. Now, I don't think that would be a reasonable number for in the industrial aspect of things. They would be bitching about it. Sorry, Fred. Like haven't heard that before. But it's not like they wouldn't be complaining about it. But if it went up to $350 an ounce, the investment demand would explode, right? And then there wouldn't be a whole lot for industrial use. And then you would see the price really start to go up as industry would pay any price for it in order to continue on with their project. What did that one say? I think somebody was asking you a question there.
I'm gonna watch this stream in 10 years from now and think, wow, time flies. Enjoy every moment with your dad because life moves fast.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it, man? I mean, even being here in this house, can you believe we've been here over 2 years now? It just seems like we moved in, doesn't it? What do some of those say?
What is the cost of manpower and the energy that takes to get it out of the ground? No way it can be $30.
Well, that's the interesting part about silver is that it ends up being a byproduct of other metal production. It's almost forced upon the people to produce it. Like it's as they go through the extraction process of getting all the metals out of the ground, whether they're going for copper or nickel or lead or something else. Here they have this other product, the silver, this byproduct, right? They didn't really go for it, but it's there. And it's just like everything else, they extract all the different parts. That's one of them. But as far as the mines that say, hey, this price is awesome for us to actually explore and pursue that particular mineral isn't there at $30. It's probably not even there at $50 or even $100 an ounce. It's probably going to need to be much higher to pursue just silver, right? So in order to ramp up production, the price would have to really increase in order to drive that demand for the miners out there to actually be profitable from it. Otherwise, they're just going to continue to mine it the way they normally do, which is byproduct of all the rest of the mining that they do.
All right.
Here, what did that one say? I bought my... What does that one say right there?
First Bought my first silver in 1976 when my allowance drawback to silver has massive 30 to 50% pullbacks all the time.
All the time, that's right. So you'll see it go from, 50 to 25, or even, 25, like even 25 back down into the teens, that's not uncommon at all. All right.
If you are going to buy a door for $100, you need to pay in silver. How many ounces of silver would you need? Round to the nearest whole number.
So silver right now is $30 an ounce. How many ounces of silver would you need to buy a $100 door?
Well, it's a...
You can round it.
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5. You need about 3.5 ounces of silver. Very good. Future is decentralized. Good math question, Spot. He got it. What does that say? Future is decentralized. Otherwise, humanity is going to destroy itself. Yeah, I think that the decentralized aspect of it is just kind of something I think people would just want anyway. To get, like, the idea of getting government out of your life, I believe, is something that is just kind of natural, like what people would naturally want, right? Some people want government in their life because they don't know, they're fearful or whatever of their future, and they don't know, they need somebody to, assure that they're going to have an okay future. But a lot of people who don't fear of that, then they want government involved with them. And so I think if you have a decentralized system, especially like the idea of smart contracts, I think you can really, I think that it would be a much better benefit to society. Anyway. Hey, read Brody's question down there. Yeah. There he is.
I would suggest something like the opposite, that BTC was quite likely created as a gambit to normalize the use of digital currency to smooth the translation into CBDCs.
Yep, the transition into CBDCs. Yeah, I mean, that could be very well likely, like, introduce Bitcoin and then get people to be excited about Bitcoin and see all these people actually, make a bunch of money, acquire a bunch of wealth because of their Bitcoin positions and stuff like that. And then people be like, hey, man, this is a legitimate thing. Look at all these people who are actually doing it. I could see where that could be a psychological ploy, because a lot of people say that it was developed by the CIA or government or whatever. And I wouldn't doubt that one little bit. Go ahead and get to the next one there.
Best price, the surest way to give something value is to make it illegal.
Yeah, is to take something that somebody wants and make it illegal. Right? The moment you do that, you're going to send the price of it skyrocketing. All right, Brody, the drug trade, yeah, or firearms or anything else. Oops.
I'm not sure BTC network could bear the weight of all mankind's accounts of exchange blockchain and is the way through.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Bitcoin itself, like the protocol of Bitcoin, like transactions are going to be the future, but I think a secondary layer system like the Lightning Network could very much, fill the role of being able to do the transactions that Bitcoin itself couldn't handle. The Lightning Network could do, and then, upload bulk transactions in a single operation within the Bitcoin network. Not to get too complicated, but basically you have the Bitcoin network, and then you have a secondary layer system that communicates with the Bitcoin network. This secondary layer system is very fast and operates, and then when it does communicate with the Bitcoin, it does bulk transactions in one shot. That's the easiest way that I can explain it anyway. All right, what does that one say? Are you guys
going down to the water today to escape the 100 degrees?
Ooh, are we going down to the water today? We are actually going to get ready for camping. These guys are going to go camping, and I need to try and convince work that I'm not going to be there, which I don't know how well that's going to work out, because this is kind of like a last minute camping trip that we're going to go with on with the neighbors. But we'll see what happens there. So we're going to get ready for that, and I don't know what else we're going to do. Might go to town for something.
Gold was illegal at some point in the USA, right?
Well, it was the ownership of gold coins, gold U.S. coins, and it was it was kind of relative on what made it illegal, right? If it like you could have gold jewelry, you could have gold coins for collection, you could there was some legalities in which that you could have it, but as far as like gold being used for currency, like had gold coins that you were going to transact with, all those certificates, all those gold coins, all the things that were within the banking system, that had to all get turned in, right? And then essentially it became illegal after that to transact within the gold, like from the banking system or anything else. Gold transactions were no longer allowed to happen. Like you couldn't take the gold out of the banking system after that. And so yeah, it was illegal to own gold, but it was kind of limited on what it was that you could have, because you could have some gold from it. Now a bunch of it was supposedly melted down back in the day, and those coins, some of those coins survived through because people just didn't give them up. They held on to them thinking, no, I ain't gonna give up this gold coin. Well, then when it became legal again, they came out of the woodwork. And I actually have some coins from back in the day that should have been melted down but didn't happen. So anyway.
Well, I do think BTC is king and should be for the next 150 years, but we should create something even better eventually.
Well, what is BTC going to be? It's not going to be like a dollar. It's not going to work as a world reserve currency. We already know this through, Gresham's law, that if you have a particular currency that is limited, it's not an elastic money supply like the Federal Reserve note or a fiat currency is, then what you'll end up having is the most industrious people will hoard all that currency for themselves, denying everybody else around the world to the ability to do transactions. And so if you put the world in a position in which that Bitcoin is the world reserve currency, or the world has happened to drift towards that, then you would have mass inequality and very little actual economic growth after time. Like you might in the initial stages of it, but give it time and it'll eventually cause a huge separation between the rich and the poor, a mass concentration of wealth, and then you'll have a redistribution of that again once more. And so you'll have these major booms and bust cycles that will take place from it. The whole idea of the elastic money supply coming from the Federal Reserve was to smooth that whole situation out. Now, of course, it created booms and bust cycles within debt, the debt cycles, but it's a different experience of something of the same nature, right? So now instead of having like a situation in which that there's no transactions happening whatsoever, you have a situation when that occurs, you got government stimulus and all kinds of activity to try and make those transactions start to fire back up again, where if you have a limited currency supply, you would have to wait for that redistribution of wealth to take place before you would actually have economic growth happening again. So it would be very little control coming from the government to deal with downturns in the economy, and you just have to wait for, for the redistribution to take place again.
I saw a paper about including the owner-occupied housing cost in the future inflation measure in the ECB. What do you think about that?
The future measure, let me read that again. In the European Central Bank, what do you think about that? Okay, I saw a paper about including the owner-occupied housing costs in the future inflation measure in the ECB. What do you think about that? I would have to look into that because I'm not exactly sure what it is that you're detailing inside of that. Yeah, I agree. I figure if computing progress enough, to compromise BTC security, the network can and will be upgraded. I'm thinking that if there was any opportunity to hack BTC, they would have done it by now. Like, I guess quantum computing might be able to do that, but like, I don't know. I hear there's even fixes for that, so I don't know. What does it say? Go play soccer? Yeah, we might be doing that.
Soccer season hasn't started.
Yep. It's about ready to, though.
Yeah.
What happens? What does it say?
What happens if when there isn't one reserve currency?
Well, how does that happen? Like, how do you not have just one world reserve currency? Like, there's other world currencies out there. People use yen and yuan and rupees and rubles and euros and gold. Like, they do transactions in other currencies. It's not just the, you know, right.
Yeah.
You know, there's all other kind of currencies that are out there, but when it comes to a dominant world reserve currency, you have to have a couple of things. One of them is you actually have to have it available to use, meaning that the world has to be provided with a currency to use. Like, we can all say, hey, which one's this you got here? You got pesos and what?
Italian.
Oh, you got an Italian note there of some sort?
Yeah, Italian.
Lira, I think they call those. Right? So here, Freddie has all these different types of currencies in his hand, right? So why don't we do currency? Why don't we do trade with some of these? Well, they're very limited in the amount that's available to do the transactions with, right? So now if everybody wanted to do transactions using these here, liras, there's not enough. Like, there would be a limited amount that's available to do the transactions, and then everybody would have to sit around waiting to acquire some of their lira in order to do the transactions. It would cause the lira to just go skyrocketing in price, right? Everybody would be hoarding it, waiting for Italy to issue out more debt. Right? That's essentially what would end up taking place. So you have to use what's available out there, and you certainly want to use something that everybody else is going to be using, and that's where dollars come in. And, you have to think about it. Back in the day, I mean, think about how many different types of dollars were existing. Like, all three of these were in existence at the same time. You got a silver certificate, you got Federal Reserve notes, you got U.S. Treasuries. They were trying to figure out a way to get currency into the system, right? This was like before the final ending of the gold standard. This is back in the 50s. It's like, how do we get liquidity out there? Like, all these different ways, get it out there. People are demanding dollars to do transactions. We only have a limited amount of these things that we could issue, right? The world is demanding tons of money, right? So here we got this Federal Reserve, they're issuing out money. We got the U.S. Treasury, they're issuing out dollars. Here, how do we get this liquidity out there? This is the problems that they were facing back in the day. There was a huge demand for dollars, right? And it wasn't a good, I mean, outside of maybe the silver certificate, these things were just promises to pay. Here, well, get it out there, and they want it. Yeah, what does that say?
Thanks for keeping the chat so orderly and spam-free today, everyone. I haven't had to delete any messages today. Usually there are at least a couple spammers or jokers.
Yeah, well, I mean, the spammers definitely get rid of. Sometimes the jokers are just funny guys, so it's just like, we have to, take the good with the bad. That's not I mean, but if they're just being completely, out of line. Let's see here. Mexican peso will be strong now that more manufacturing is moving there. Yeah, and I can imagine that there would be a definite shift in the perception of the Mexican peso, and how if a lot of manufacturing does end up moving there and become a manufacturing powerhouse, absolutely. Like, absolutely, the peso could be a very strong currency, especially when it comes to Americans getting pesos to operate within Mexico. Like, if you're doing a lot of transactions with Mexico and their currency is strengthening, yeah, then why wouldn't you want to have accounts, based in Mexican peso? Like, I mean, that would make a lot of sense, and so I could definitely see where the Mexican peso would strengthen from here, becoming the manufacturing powerhouse, which it likely seems like they're moving towards. I mean, they're already becoming like the #1 trade partner with the United States, so give it time, and it's going to be like a #1 trade partner with other nations out there as well. Good.
Mexico is going to rock manufacturing soon. They are building out their
Industrial complex.
Industrial complex as we speak.
Yeah, that's right. They really are. What was that one? Oh, here we go, Freddie.
Have you ever made a profit trading baseball cards? Yes. I've traded with my friends, which some of their cards are worth more, and I've traded for them.
Yeah. Have you actually sold any cards to anybody yet? I don't think you've actually. You just kind of upgraded what you feel are the cards worth. Yeah. I don't think you've actually gone to and sold any of the cards that he has collected. Although I think he wants to. That's why he keeps asking about the eBay. Yeah. All right. I have 50K. How do I turn it into $1 million? Let me know when you figure that one out, okay? Clear Glass Studios. I would love to turn 50K into $1 million myself. Buy Bitcoin. I don't know, man. What do you think? If you bought $50,000 in Bitcoin, would that turn into $1 million?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, Bitcoin's just a little over 50,000, it's a little under 60 right now. So, I mean, you'd be pretty close if you bought a Bitcoin. I mean, listen to Mark Moss. He says it's going to go to, he has a really compelling case for $400 million Bitcoin. And I mean, I'm on board with that. Even if it does half of that, I'm cool, man. I'd be down for $400 million Bitcoin. I'd buy a private jet if that happened.
Where'd you fly?
I don't know. I'd fly all over. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't buy a private jet. I would probably get a really awesome RV and I would tour around. And I would go check out music festivals and state parks and do speaking engagements. That's what I would do.
Don't you want a convertible?
Do I not?
You want some sort of car.
I want a Camaro.
Camaro.
All right. Freddie's eyes lit up about trading cards. That's cool. Oh, yeah. No, he likes doing that. That's his jam. What do we got here?
What's your thoughts on Trump taking about Bitcoin as a reserve asset?
Talking about Bitcoin as a reserve asset. I don't know. I don't give Bitcoin that much expectations or credit for anything. So I don't think about Bitcoin being that kind of it's a completely speculative asset and doesn't have any kind of real legitimate use as far as being a world reserve currency or going to do that. Now, with that being said, I like Bitcoin, I do, but I mean, from everything that I have studied and understanding of how currencies operate, how this economy operates, Bitcoin is a very limited amount of currency that would then limit the amount of transactions out there, and only the most industrious people would have anything in their life, and that would create a very damaging situation for a lot of people out there who weren't industrious enough to acquire the Bitcoin to maintain their life. They would actually end up with a lesser standard of living, and I don't want to see that suffering out there. I feel like I would do well in that kind of position. So personally, I'm cool with it. I would be down for it. I would teach Freddie how to deal with that kind of situation as well. And I think that he would probably do okay in that kind of environment, along with a lot of other people. And I'm as personally, if I was to ask for something, then that would be the event that I would want to happen, is that I think that propelling myself through that environment would be not easy, but I think it would be easier for somebody who's thought about it and considered it than it would be for people who were taken by surprise, right? So if that was the case, then I would want that to be there. I would want Bitcoin to be the world reserve currency, because my Bitcoin holdings would then be massive amounts of wealth for me. And I don't want that for the rest of the world. I don't want to see the world suffering so that I can have $100 million in my life. I don't think that's not the direction I'm going, right? But I'm in a position that if that occurred, I would be there, right? Because it's not an unrealistic idea, but I'm not down for it. I don't want that in my life. I want to see people who are in a position of unfortunate to be able to become fortunate, right? And I don't know if that's capable in a limited reserve system, limited reserve currency like with gold or Bitcoin or something like that. I think it would become very difficult for the majority, or generally speaking, I think it would be very difficult for people out there in that kind of environment. This isn't a good environment, but it's better because it gives more opportunity to more people. But yeah, it does have a huge separation between the classes, and you have to deal with that aspect of it. But 6 and 1, half a dozen. What, I don't know how else to look at it. 127 likes with 128 people watching. I love it when we have just as many likes as we have people watching. All right, go hit that like button. I'm not sure the significance is apparent to you. I hope these things are going by pretty fast. Okay, I don't have AC and I live, so is a luxury. All right.
Buy me some bonds. I'll appreciate it in 10 years.
Yeah, I do have an account with some bonds in it for you. Not much, but there's some. All right, go ahead and keep scrolling, see if we can find some more comments. Luxuries are goods and services which provide the pleasures of life, It's the wealth, the separation of money and state, yeah. Right, Brody, but more specifically. BTC definitely over 1 million before I die, you think? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I remember when I first tried to buy Bitcoin, I was going to get 2 of them. They were $18. Right? I mean, now they're, $60,000 or so. That's incredible to think about. Is it relative to where you live? I wonder what those guys are talking about. Oh, if you live in a hot area, AC is essential. Yeah, we really don't. I mean, I have a heat pump unit, which is like an AC unit, so my house is always the same temperature, which is really nice when we walked into the house in the afternoon, right, Freddie?
Yeah.
It was nice and cool in there, yeah. What is that? What did Brody just say there? He has that.
And more specific and rule things out, which are definitely luxuries.
Yeah, any more specific and you rule things out, which are definitely luxuries, yeah.
How do you get the vehicle back? I put a call on your behalf. I hope that it helped.
Benny's a jokester. He likes telling jokes about how I get speeding tickets and arrested all the time. So he's a funny guy. It seems like a one world blockchain based currency is inevitable at this point. I kind of agree, and I think it's actually going to be done through stablecoin. I really do think that. Like, it seems apparent to me that the Federal Reserve is wanting to regulate these stablecoins, and they have made it they made it pretty obvious that if they have a monetary policy of the dollar and something is being backed by the dollar, their monetary policy transfers right into that other currency or whatever it is that's being backed by the dollar. So they don't have to do anything themselves. They can just sit there and watch, all the work and all the technical part of it be done out there in the world of competition, taking care of business all on its own, and all they have to do is just maintain their monetary policy the way that they would normally do it. And because that monetary policy will transfer right into those stable coins, they can then conduct themselves as if they had a central bank digital currency through the regulations of stable coins, but yet never actually have to create a stable coin or a central bank digital currency themselves. And that's really what I think is kind of the future of it. Oh, sorry, Fred. And then once you have those stable coins in use, then who knows what those things are backed by, right? I mean, it could be backed by treasuries, by cash, by foreign debt, who knows? I mean, even the dollar itself, right, being backed or having the stable coins backed by the dollar itself doesn't necessarily mean that the dollar is being backed by U.S. treasuries or the debt of the United States government. It could be being backed by foreign debt. So the Federal Reserve has a balance sheet with foreign debt on it. The liabilities, the dollars that are out there, is sitting on a stable coin's balance sheet, with the stable coin now being used as if it's a dollar, but it's being backed by foreign debt through the Federal Reserve itself. Like, this is the channel in which that I see things going. Now you think about that for just a second, and then you have your one world currency with a basket of foreign debt that is backing the dollar, that is being used in a stable coin fashion, that's regulated through Congress. Like, I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around that, but I believe that's the case. You got that, Freddie? Can you explain that to him? What was that say? What does that say there?
Houses and stocks skyrocketed because during lots of free money to many businesses, and people refinance to pull out 100K, 200K, and more. If Bitcoin hits 1 million, people will buy more houses in stocks.
Yeah, I can see something like that very much happening, because during the time in which that you would have thought that real estate was going to crash, it didn't. It went completely the opposite way. People were not only not making their payments, but then the house prices kept going up, and they would just refinance, take out the equity, and start their payments over again after a year of not even making their payments. But if they couldn't do that, they could sell their house for a profit. They still ended up with money, and they didn't spend any money on debt payments for like a year. So like the moratorium gave a huge cash boost to property owners. And yeah, I could definitely see where a bunch of money had come into the economy through that. Go ahead. What does that say BTC is?
BTC is not relative to the dollar. What if you lived in another country? It would be priced in that currency. However, one BTC is one BTC no matter where you are. This is what...
Well, yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, you can also say the same thing for gold, right? So gold priced in Canadian dollars might be a better deal than gold priced in the US dollars, or vice versa, or something of that nature. Sometimes buying gold in Canadian dollars and then selling it in US dollars can give you an advantage. In understanding that there's different values to different currencies depending on the commodity that you are buying is a very awesome trade that a lot of people do. They actually call that a carry trade, right? Because if you can imagine, okay?
Yeah.
If you can imagine if you can imagine different booths or even windows, like a bunch of windows, and somebody is buying and selling gold, somebody's buying and selling different like a Canadian currency, somebody's buying and selling American currency, and you can buy American currency for Canadian dollars, or you can buy it with Iraqi dinar, or you can go and buy it with these yen. And these people will buy and sell depending on what the market value is of that. Well, you can pick up from one window, go over to the next window, go over to the next window, and keep doing this and just keep trading between these different windows and actually create a profit if you know where the exchange rates are and where the advantages are between these different currencies and the amount that the commodities are selling for, or what the currencies are, or what the forex trades are. And I mean, there's a lot of people who do really well at this. Like, they can see it on a daily basis. They're like, man, take this, convert it to that, convert it back to this, and boom, I just made a profit, right? And they didn't have to do anything, just convert it from one to another. What does that say?
My writer wants a system tips top 5% owning 90%, and then if it goes top 1% own 90%, it won't reset for a long time.
Interesting.
I don't know. I just know when companies like Publix grocery chain post profits 40% pre-pandemic levels, will stock up, rise Luther.
Yeah, and there's also a lot to be said for that. Like, a lot of people would say the same thing about mills. Well, if you're milling at 1,700 per thousand, you're probably making a hell of a lot of profit, off of that. But when you're milling at 400 per thousand, you're not. So depending on where it is that people were paying at the time of the pandemic would then show the profits that they were making. You could say, yeah, these people jacked up the prices and look how much we had to pay. But then again, you could also look and say, hey, there's not a lot available out there and people are willing to pay a higher price than you are. Right? And that's what started driving the price. There's supply and demand and competition. You can't stop that. People can mark up their prices all they want. I tell you what, I'm a salesman. I know how this works. I'm in competition with other companies and other salesmen out there, and I will always do my best to be just this much under them. All right? And so are they. And they will do the same thing to me. And so I'll have to do the same thing to them. And they'll do it again to me until I do it to them until we eventually get to a point where it says, I'm not selling it for any less than this. Right? I understand it from a sales point of view. Like most people look at it from a consuming point of view. They say, you guys are ripping me off. And I'm thinking, no, this is how much you're willing to pay. And I'm going to try and price it cheaper than everybody else. That's competition. And that's that's where price levels are found.
Everyday Rockers card's the only currency you need.
Yeah. What do you think? Is that true? What does that bottom one say?
The government made everything scarce. Kudos to them.
Made scarce. Kudos to them. They really did. I mean, by severing the supply chain, they really made everything scarce. Yeah. And then supplying everybody with a bunch of money to go out there and just blow it like crazy, like they were drunken sailors, made everything disappear. Right?
It'll be better or it'll be worse. I agree.
Hey, wow. Wow, bud, look at that. Nice. What does it say?
Enjoy camping. Hope you get to go.
All right. Yeah, these guys are definitely going to go. I mean, I'm going to have to figure out whether or not I'm going to be able to get up there, and because it's kind of a little ways away where they're camping at. So, all right. Oops, cruise back down there. What does that long one say?
Well, Mike, the market is a little more complicated than that. Forward guidance and PE ratio is more important than today's profit because the market is always trading future expectations outweigh.
Yeah. Man, that's incredible. Thank you so much for that super chat. It's just so awesome. You guys are so generous with those things. It's just incredible. Yeah, what was that going back there? Let's read that one again because I think that was actually kind of the market is a little more complicated than that. Forward guidance and PE ratio more important than today's profit because the market is always trading futures. Expectations outweigh. Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. I mean, I believe that the future expectations and what it is that the markets perceive or, what the people feel out there is far more important than what is actually occurring within interest rates or, even like I can't remember. I think it was something that Powell said about unemployment, and I thought it was interesting because the SOM rule had come up, and this is like one of the things about like forward guidance, is that he said something about like I wouldn't necessarily worry about where it's at, but more of the direction by how much. And I thought, man, if that ain't the truth, because I don't think the unemployment number is real. I think that's a fake number that is put out there. And it doesn't reflect the reality of the situation. And I think this is done on purpose, that they actually said from a long time ago, FASB 56, the legal lies, that they can't tell us what the real numbers are. But I think they had actually relinquished the reality of how you're supposed to look at it, and it's by how much in the direction it's moving, not where it's at. Right? I think that's more important. So, anyway, moving on.
Has Freddie been to a live auction before?
No, I don't think you've ever been to a live auction. What does that bottom one say?
What does that have to do with anything? Are central banks stocking up in Bitcoin? No, but they are in gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what I thought was interesting is how I read an article how Germany bought back a bunch of Bitcoin, like a bunch of it. And I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting. I just figured they would sell and never really participate in the purchasing back of it. Now, I'm not exactly sure why they did that, but I just kind of perused the article real quick, and it was like, that's interesting. It seems something about market balancing, or I don't know, they had some kind of weird, excuse for it. But I thought that was kind of an interesting story to find. What does that say? Honest question, UE. What percentage of super chats do you receive after Y2?
YouTube.
After YouTube, right? Um, they take a bunch of it. So they take quite a bit of it, but it's a platform that makes it easy to tip, to contribute. Like, I mean, if it was PayPal, I would get 100% of it, but then you don't get to add the question to it. So yeah, YouTube takes quite a bit. I don't think it's quite to 50%, but sometimes it feels like it's around there. I get a lot more from the live or from the memberships. So with the membership, YouTube takes quite a bit of that, but I get a far bigger percentage of the money coming from memberships. Why the ad revenue? YouTube and Google and all them are making far more money than I am off of it, and it does okay. Like, I mean, if I was to just give you an idea, if it's doing really good, I might get like a penny a view, right? I mean, if that's yeah, and so that's, if you're doing fairly decent, you might get a penny a view. Otherwise you might get a penny for every 4 or 5 views that you get, and it's really like, it can be just everywhere. So at times when, like, when lumber's taken off and it's up at 1,700 per thousand and people are coming to the channel and they're watching my current videos and past videos and I'm getting a lot of views on the channel, and yeah, it can do quite well and match my income. Sometimes it does even more than that. But to try and, like, hey, this is how much it makes every month, it's like, it's all over the place. It's so inconsistent that it's hard to even, like, to come up with a real number for it. But it's good. It's well worth being out here. But as far as the percentage that YouTube takes, it's a lot. They take quite a bit of it. But again, it's worth it to have a platform that I can even do this on, that I can be tipped on, right? So, thank you, YouTube, and thank you for everybody who supports the channel. Wow. Right on.
You better make it time to go camping. Nothing matters but time with your children. Money can't get this. No, money can't get this time back once it's gone. Get solar energy, mine Bitcoin, be happy.
Thank you so much. Who was that? Scroll back down. What was her name? Little Mia Moo, the Shih Tzu. The great name. Thank you so much for the 1999. It's very awesome from you. Thank you for the support. Yeah, we're gonna spend some time up there camping. So, all right, thanks. That's good to hear. You still got a decent amount. Yeah, I mean, it's good. Like, I mean, I can't believe I have the opportunity to even do something like this, right? And so if YouTube needs to take some of it for me to be able to come out here and share my message, and then be supported from the viewers in such fashion, I mean, if they have to take some of it, they have to take it. It's just like any kind of business out there, you have to pay taxes if you're gonna make some money. You have to understand that's just the situation that you're in. Now, I can complain about it, or I can just say, hey, man, let's go for it and let's make it happen. So thank you very much for being here. Yeah, about 30%. Yeah, that sounds about right, Benny. I would say that you're about right on that. Reds fans in Washington? I don't know about in Washington, but there's one in Oregon. All right. Currently banned from commenting for the day, but I can still chat. Huh. Interesting. Here you go.
If you find good cards for cheap at a yard sale, you can send the cards out to get graded. Yes, it's surprising. I have, my first sporting card was, graded RJ Barrett rookie card. It was my first one, and it's my only graded one.
Yeah. How much does it cost to have a card graded, do you know?
Anywhere, depending on the card, anywhere from $25,000 to $5,000.
Wow, depending on the card itself, it can cost anywhere from $25 to $5,000 to have it graded?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize it could get that expensive. That's incredible. I mean, $25 seems reasonable, but
depending on the card.
Yeah. So you really have to know your card and like what you're looking at as far as the grade.
Because if it's just like a normal baseball card, it might cost $25-$40. But if it's like a patch card with a patch of their game worn jersey, it might cost more.
Oh, I see. To make it authentic, see if it's authentic or whatever.
Yeah.
What time is it? 1:18. What did Benny say there? Hey, Brody, I was just letting him know the side news. What is? It's not. Yeah, it's not a big deal. What is? Benny, in fairness, they also provide the platform to get them. Yeah, it's cool. Like everybody's cool with it. Like, I mean, just like anything out there, I mean, if you're going to do, like, I mean, I perform work for my boss. My boss should be making a hell of a lot more off of my work than I'm making, right? I mean, or at least be making a fairly decent amount off of it. So even if, like, like I consider like my day job, I mean, they, 30% of my efforts should go to them at least, if not more.
You threw away your football cards, wasted money. Don't throw them away. Sell them. Sell them. Do I like the Goonies? Yes. Amazing movie.
It's a good movie, right?
Yeah. You can turn 50K into $1 million fairly easy. It takes time, but it's worth it. You must be passionate and be good at understanding a profit. A couple of friends of mine became millionaires this way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. Hey, Matthew hit us up again with another $10. Thank you very much. The Lumberjack Landlord. So cool of you. What does he have to say?
$10 to $50 to grade, but you can get huge dollars for 10 grades. Keep trading with your friends, learning the market. You will crush it. I sold all my cards to a real estate company.
Yeah, you see that? Matthew, he's a big-time real estate guy. He has quite a few properties, and he had a huge baseball card, from what I understand, a big baseball card collection that he had when he was younger. So, yeah, he was very encouraged by the idea that you're doing baseball cards and saying that's a great way to kind of get started in not only savings, but understanding entrepreneurship and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, he was real excited to hear that you were into baseball cards. What does that say? What do you think, Mexico?
What do you think Mexico will be the new supplier in a new chain worldwide?
Oh, I think that's happening. Yeah, I think that'll happen for sure.
1952 Topps mantle. I know Aaron Judge signs baseball cards for kids that send a letter attached with the card.
Oh, really? Well,
I have a couple Aaron Judge cards.
Yeah. That would be interesting to send some cards off to
Send the cards
to see if they would sign them and send them back.
When I bought this sporting card lot, it was baseball and football cards. I got some 32-cent stamps. And there's still some left. I got like Babe Ruth, Cy Young. Oh, some cool ones.
Nice. What did Matthew have to say here? Read that one.
I did sell a lot to start. It's a great way to learn how to run a business.
Yeah.
Well, that mantle card just sold for $12.7 million. Yeah, the 52 mantle is the most expensive baseball card.
Wow. Why Mexico? As far as like the manufacturing, it just like anything out there, it's like, the path of least resistance. Like, I don't think it was chosen. I think it just happened to be, right? So for a couple of different reasons, not only are you going to find that the labor there is competitive, the infrastructure is building up to handle the manufacturing distribution, and think about how close it is to market. It's just got to go right there to the United States, where, in China, it has to travel all the way across the sea. So when it comes to like the most logical place to manufacture from, it's going to find it through that, through that path of least resistance, right? Like, you're going to find it in, more happening in Vietnam, more happening in India, more happening in Mexico, more happening in these other places. And it's not to say that China is going to be done, right? They're going to still be manufacturers. In fact, they're going to be a competitor that's going to flood the world with stuff to try and destroy their competition through the fact that they just can't profit, right? So China is a manufacturing powerhouse that can dominate the manufacturing industry and just simply overload all the other competitors out there so that they're just not profitable. And I think that's their plan. So this is going to be interesting to watch take place over the next decade or so. You find one?
You saw Babe Ruth play baseball when you were a kid in New York? That's cool.
That's when, oh yeah, that was Jimmy saying that, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool. That would be a fun experience.
Yeah. One of the greatest baseball players of all time.
Yeah. What did Benny say there? Look into what is being called, what does that say? Friendshoring?
Look into what is being called the media as friendshoring. I have some articles that I sent to you, some that and can share with you.
Yeah.
Do I lecture here, Tony? Yes. Yes.
Right on. What was that one? Benny actually had one up there. I think he was continuing on. This is great public speaking skills, building for Freddie. Great memories, too. You blow me away every day, Simon. Yeah, no, and I agree. I think this is awesome. Like, to know that right now we're speaking in front of 135 people and to be able to share our thoughts and ideas and, to know that, we can skip over our words and stuff like that and know that we're not speaking exactly fluidly like a lot of people would expect a public speaker to do. You're going to make mistakes, but being out there, being present, being the energy of authenticity, that's what we do out here. And so by having this experience right now, not only for Freddie to be able to engage with 135 people, but for me every single day, it's again just becoming more practiced and more familiar with doing this. And then even the mistakes you don't even think about. You just roll with it and you don't even think about them being mistakes. You're just you're just in the zone and just doing it, right? What does that say? Cy Young. He's talking about the Cy Young up there. What is he saying? Did we lose? There we go.
The Cy Young threw like 700 complete games, something insane like that. Yeah, I mean, they named the Cy Young Award after him.
Right? It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
All right. And go ahead and find some more.
Goldfish Night Sports Ball on at 8 p.m. followed by Infinite at 9.
Right on. Cy Young was also my teacher. Interesting. All right. China is the size. Who was I want to say? China is the size of the continental U.S. So yes, it has a lot of resources it could draw on, but the systemic corruption prevents efficient resource allocation. Ready for here we go. What does he say?
Start up a YouTube channel discussing your cards, opening packs, and schedule time. There's going to be a lot of significant interesting cards. So there's one problem with that. With my YouTube, I tried signing in. I did everything right, and it just didn't work. So it said my password was wrong, but I didn't get it wrong.
Yeah. We'll set you up a YouTube channel and get you going. If you really get into the baseball cards, besides these people, I think would really get a kick out of watching you do your own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would do quite well at it.
Have you looked up the history of Rome?
Have I looked up the history of Rome? I know a lot of Roman history through the Cantillon essay and through some other other economic things that I have read, but I have never studied the history of Rome. No, not specifically. But I do know a lot of Roman history just from following other things.
Huh?
What is it? Go ahead.
I didn't know Faye was from Boston. I'm not.
Freddie's not from Boston.
I'm not from Boston. I'm from Oregon.
Yeah. Now, my grandfather's from Boston, or his grandfather. My dad is from Boston. He's not even from Boston. He's from Fall River. All right. I'd buy some cards to support Freddie. See, you already got a customer. Yeah. Freddie, do you like Logan Gilbert?
Yeah. Yeah. Do I have Paul Skeens? No, I've been trying to open packs to find him. I have Andrew McCutcheon.
Yeah. Uh, are these kind of chats are probably the reason why I have been banned from commenting for a day to protect the community from my hate facts. Well, don't do hateful comments. That's all there is to it. Like, you can say whatever you want, just don't be hateful about it. Don't call names. Don't be, don't be calling people idiots or morons or racist or anything like that. Like that. I mean, I can't. First of all, not only do I not like it, but I don't care. It's it's your opinion. But the algorithm doesn't like it, and this is like my business, right? So I have to maintain a certain level of commenting that is happening within the YouTube channel itself. I have to make sure that that doesn't screw with the algorithm, which then deteriorates the channel. So it's not a matter of a free speech thing. I'm totally down for free speech. I have to protect the channel, right? And the outcome of that.
What's my favorite card so far? I have a fireworks Shohei Ohtani card. A fireworks card is when a player hits a home run as the fireworks go off.
Yeah. Do you like that one?
Yeah.
What does that say? What did Benny have to say there? Simon allows pretty open discussion here, actually. He'll either refute or ignore. Yeah, and I don't like, I want I want as much free speech as possible so that people have their opinions out there. But when it gets into hateful or racist or anything like that, or anything that's, it's just like I can't, like, for one, I personally don't like it, but that part I don't like, I can neither here nor there about. But again, it's for the protection of the channel. And like YouTube just straight up, they said don't allow these type of things to take place. Don't allow, like, violent violent acts on your videos, and like all kinds of, like, they have all these rules, right? It's just like, if you want to be, like, I shouldn't say they have all these rules to be a YouTube creator. They have all these rules if you want to be an ad revenue type partner, right? That's when they have the rules, because it all comes down to getting the ad revenue, the people who are paying the ads. They don't want their ads on certain types of videos. And so if you're producing those types of videos, guess what? You don't get the ads. So then we don't get paid. All right.
Do you think we'll go negative interest rates pretty soon?
Not soon. We will go into negative interest rates at some point, but I don't believe that's going to be soon. I don't think that's going to be during the next downturn. It's probably going to be at some point down in the future. Once, like, I don't think you're really going to start seeing. You going to be back? Just going to the market and get me a bubbly? Thank you.
What's my opinion on Bronny James?
Did we finish the last question?
What's my opinion on Bronny James? LeBron James' son.
Oh.
So I heard that LeBron James is gonna play for whatever team his son goes to for his final year, which I heard Bronny might be going to the Celtics, and LeBron does not like the Celtics, so we'll see how that turns out.
He knows more about it than I do. I don't know any of that. All right, very smart teaching your kid about these important topics. Props to you. Yeah, you bet, Chris. Like, I mean, really, Freddie's into it on his own. Like, you go and ask my older one, he's not into it. But Freddie's pretty smart, and he's really into whatever's going on. So if I'm out here doing YouTube, he wants to be part of it. Camp, he wants to be part of it. Baseball, he wants to be part of it, right? I mean, Freddie's into it. Freddie's a he's an in the moment, let's go get it kind of kid. He's actually already signed with the Lakers.
Yeah, Bronny James, they are playing together currently, but Bronny James currently, his points per game is like 4, so it's not doing too good. Wasn't doing too good earlier.
Yeah, might flip 180 degrees when he becomes a teen. Yeah, it's possible. Once he gets his driver's license, you'll be out the door and gone, right? I love Freddie has no expression on any of that stuff. He's like, don't tell me what to do, dude.
Kobe Bryant cards? No, don't have any.
Yeah. Yeah, what was that one up here that you're leading him to do that. You both do it together, which is awesome. Yeah. Go ahead and find one. Gosh, it's getting hot in this car, isn't it?
No.
You're not hot?
No.
I'm starting to sweat. What's another question there?
Out the door parents today should in many cases plan for their adult child's remaining at home for a while. Kids don't burn.
Yeah, kids don't get. Yeah, it's funny, huh? They run around in the sun all day long. It was amazing. I think he got a layer of tan on him just running around yesterday. All right, Simon, do you believe kids can inherit, what does that say? Inherit a lead foot? Yeah, if so, that may spoil some trouble. Or spell some trouble. Yeah, but I don't drive fast, so it shows what you know, Benny. Right? I don't drive a vehicle that goes fast enough to actually get a speeding ticket. This Explorer may get up the speed fast enough, but it's certainly not the S10 or the Corolla. I mean, those things couldn't go fast. All right, go ahead and find another one. What is that? Remember what Elon told Bob Iger on stage? Don't let sponsors brainwash your channel. I don't. That's one of the things that I don't really do is sponsorships. Like I don't. The only thing that I go for is just some of those partnership limitations, right? But as far as like sponsorships, I don't really do sponsorships, right? I did sponsorships for a while and I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't like the content of the videos that I put out, all that other stuff. So I was like, although it's great money and I would love to make that and just, have that for, for the future and for these kids and stuff like that. It's just not me and it's not part of the channel. And so I just don't do it anymore, even though it was killer money. It was really, really good stuff. Maybe someday in the future I'll do it, like if things were to change or if I found the right sponsor, but I'm not looking for it, Go ahead.
Yes, but we are usually denied the information to make those predictions. Why hasn't the bullwhip effect snapped back in form of yet another major wave of information yet? Why is there any way to predict how long it'll take for the wrecking ball to hit the roof?
Well, I mean, you think about it, Brody, that's going to be kind of a relative term to depending on what it is that you are looking at. Like, you can see it happening within lumber much quicker than you would see it happening in cars, right? Or, let's take, for example, we saw pork and chicken prices plummet a few months back, right? Where, I mean, I was telling people, man, pick up the chicken while you can and go can it or freeze it or, get into it while you can, because they have overproduced pork and they are shutting down these operations right now because there's no profit in it and they have overproduced. So it's going to happen to different industries at different times as the time goes on, right? So again, like lumber, it happened really fast. With cars, it's going to take much longer. We witnessed it taking place within, the food industries and many different parts of that, between eggs and chicken and pork and all that stuff. So when you ask the question, it's going to be really relative to like, how long is it going to take? Right now, if you go and take a look at like container shipping from China to the United States, it's getting congested again. There is a ton of stuff. There's a flood of stuff that is now coming back into the United States that was come from China. Now, whether that is back ordered stuff coming in, if it was due to people trying to get ready for holiday seasons, if there's all kinds of issues going on, but to me, it's an obvious sign of the oversupply to undersupply to oversupply that we are going to experience until we find that equilibrium again. And you can see that taking place right now, especially within the container shipping markets, Go ahead and read the next one.
Massive unemployment going into 2025 and continuing unemployment.
Okay. That's I mean, I guess that's a fairly, decent prediction to try and make, is that we are going to have some. Thank you, Mama. I appreciate it. Oh, no, that's all right. So, yeah, you want to drink?
Okay.
You good? But really, when I think about the unemployment rate, you know, the Federal Reserve used to use the unemployment rate to try and adjust inflation, right? So they had what they refer to as a neutral employment rate, where a particular employment level was neither accommodating nor restricting the economy. And so if they could stimulate the economy, lowering interest rates, getting businesses to invest, hiring people, they can increase the employment, which would then in turn increase the consumption and then eventually go into inflation, right? So price inflation would be found from that. Same thing on the opposite side. If they could create an issue where there was higher unemployment or less employment within the economy, then the same thing would happen in the reverse, less people consuming, and then inflation would come down. So the Federal Reserve realized that lowering the unemployment to try and create the inflation failed to work. It didn't work anymore. Like, they were like, oh crap, man, we got historically low unemployment and still not able to find the inflationary scenario that we were looking for. This is the Federal Reserve. So they know that they can run full employment all the time, regardless of the situation, and not have to worry about creating an inflationary scenario that's going to be running out of control, because they already tried to create an inflationary scenario by lowering the unemployment. It just didn't work. So as the unemployment begins to rise, the Federal Reserve, no matter what, can always push for full employment and deviations away from that. So if there's ever a situation in which that they felt that the unemployment was moving too high, right, they could always have a situation that would create full employment. Like, in their minds, they don't have to worry about a situation where unemployment needs to rise in order to combat inflation. They never need unemployment to rise. They can always go for full employment as best they can. Now, whether or not that means that everybody is working, I think that's a different understanding coming from the monetary policy aspect of it, as opposed to, I want a job, I want to work, right? But the monetary policy doesn't necessarily look at it that way, right? Now, they do look at, there's going to be some people out of work and there's going to be more people working, right? And the more people that are working is going to have that inflationary scenario. However, since that doesn't work, go ahead and let the inflationary scenario that would come from employment run as much as you possibly can. So as unemployment, the idea of unemployment rising into the future, I don't think it's going to go up as much as a lot of people are anticipating. Like, even if the Federal Reserve is trying to restrict the economy, they can create a situation in which that employment can run full, but it doesn't create the inflationary scenario that they were looking for, which they would normally want to see unemployment rise to combat. Did I get all that out right, Fred? I think I confused them. I confused myself. So. Next question. We only joke around here. Yeah, go ahead and find one up there a little way, see if there's a question. Oh, wow, you spun it way up there. And go ahead and increase back down there to the bottom. See if there's. What does that say?
We are only a few years away from 100-year mark of the start of the Great Depression, in which 1929.
Yeah, I mean, it's 100 years, so, getting close to it. But I don't think that has anything to really do with, like any kind of predicting any kind of outcome for the future. It's just kind of a long timeline since then to think, right? 100 years ago that took place. And it's weird to think, like, as a kid, 40 years ago, hearing people talk about the Great Depression, like, the older generations, like my grandparents and all their friends and stuff like that, like, they talked about the Great Depression, like experiencing it. And you can tell, like, a lot of those people, even though they had all the means necessary to have a regular standard of living life, they would still, like, stock ungodly amount of stuff, because they didn't know if there would ever come a time in which that they would be deprived again. And so that fear of that experience has always ran with them through that generation. That, you don't experience that much anymore. or that type of feeling, because most of those people are now gone. What does it say? We've been in a recession by the old definition before they changed it from, what does that say, 2/4 of negative growth to whatever the new definition is. Yeah, and I kind of believe that as well. But then again, I also believe that we were in a recessionless recession because they already bailed it out. They did a pre-bailing out of the recession. All right. How much longer are we going to go, kid? Are we getting tired?
Maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 more minutes. That'll take it up to the 2-hour mark. I think that's good. All right. There is no recession in my household. We got bacon on the table. Something. What did I say? We got, yeah, we'll read his in just a second. We got bacon on the table every morning. That's awesome. Yeah, what did Matthew have to say? Read that one.
One thing many people forget about the Great Depression is that there was no national Section 8 housing program. Literally millions of people on that program.
Yep, absolutely. And so when you think about it, when you have government assistance, like anytime you ever have government involvement, they're going to create distortions within the market. I don't care what it is, right? And so the idea that you are going to be able to provide this Section 8 housing, that keeps people within their homes, right? And it doesn't like necessarily create a situation in which that you have a mass amount of people who lose their jobs and then now are out on the streets. Section 8 housing has a huge impact on that particular aspect of things. It's a very distortion of the market itself, the housing market, because when you really think about it, like if you don't qualify for it, you make just enough money above that they're like, sorry, you're on your own. Well, people who do acquire the Section 8 housing are taking away the capabilities of the people who can't get that Section 8 housing or the assistance, now have to suffer with the idea that they don't earn enough money to compete against the people who now have that housing given to them from the government assistance. So basically, if the government assistance wasn't there, that house would be available for this person to then acquire. So now this person has to earn ever increasing amounts of money to compete against the people who have the Section 8 housing. Right? And then again, this starts causing the prices to move up ever more. Go ahead and find another one there. What is that true? That lumberjack also knows Social Security until 1935. Breadline is now the EBT cards. It really is. What is that one? Even worse? What does that say?
Even worse, his tax monies are decreasing his revenues while driving up costs from government spending.
When is the government going to run out of money for all these programs? I think that's when, what does that say? Hit the screen. That's when everything hits the fan. I don't think the government can run out of money. I don't think that's possible. Like, they can't run out of money. They can issue out as much money as they want. Now, whether or not that money is able to buy anything, I think that's going to be the difference, like whether or not it has a purchasing power. But the government can always produce as much money as it wants. Like, that's not a problem, right? The problem is keep maintaining the value of that money.
How could it run out of money when they take so much from us?
Right? Did you hear what? How can they run out when they take so much from us? All right, what does that lumberjack say there?
Simon was exactly right. Now, cost of Section 8 push-ups the cost of affordable units.
That's right. You know, I mean, I think about that all the time. Like every time I hear about how they're trying to house the homeless, right? Here in Oregon, there was this plan of like taking millions of dollars and then putting people into houses. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, those people didn't earn it. They didn't earn the ability to get into that house. So you're taking the house away from somebody who did get the ability to do it. But now they don't have the ability to do it because you have taken it away from them by giving it to somebody else. And so now this person has to work extra hard you know, to acquire what it is that he needs in order to get in this apartment, which should be there for him, except that it was given away to him, you know. And so again, driving up the prices. It's just it's it's terrible for the person who is just above it, who is trying hard, trying to get it together, saving all the money, doing everything it is they need to do in order to try and get a better way of life, and then is competing against somebody who is just giving it to them. Right? And they're like, and you go to them and it's like, well, can I have some? And it's like, sorry, you make just a little too much. You tried just a little too hard. You know, that's what you get for trying just a little too hard to try and acquire those things. You get punished, and now you don't get to be part of this. You know, it's just like it's a horrible way of looking at it, but that's the truth of it. You know. All right. What is it? That's known as communism. All right. What are we at? Okay, we got 10 minutes to go. If you haven't hit that like button, go hit the like button. We're at 187 likes with 109 people watching. I'm sure there's a handful of you yet who haven't hit the like button. We'll get it up to 200 likes before the end of the video. That would be awesome. 3 years to implement. All right. Just deport the homeless to international waters. Now it's Poseidon's problem. Huh. They run out when people no longer recognize their paper as money. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see what. I guess we're getting to the end. There's no more comments here.
Go back to.
Yeah. Did you find one up there a little ways?
Oh no.
Oh, you're just gonna go find one? All right. That's good. Let's
Go
start
way
right
up.
there. Oh, you're gonna go way back there. Oh, that's all the way back to the Babe Ruth comments. Here, okay. Now cruise back down to the bottom. Let's see if anybody said anything yet. All right. Thank you very much, Simon and Freddie. Great stream. Well, thank you very much, Brody, for being here. You know, I think we'll probably cut it loose here. If you guys had enough, I think we've had enough. It's starting to cook out in this car. Freddie seems cool, though. Freddie's always cool.
You by the door, so it makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Crony capitalism. Yeah, that's what's going on. Have a lovely rest of your day. Well, thank you very much. We will. The boy plays baseball. Absolutely, He plays baseball.
My team did this thing. It's a hit-a-thon. Whoever hits the ball farthest gets a little prize basket. I did it with 180 feet.
Yeah, he hit the ball 180 feet farther, and it was about 6-7 feet farther than the second place, right? However far they hit it.
Yeah, I beat second place by 4 feet.
Oh, by 4 feet. Yeah, so it wasn't by much, but he did it. Yeah, he knocked the hell out of that thing. I was just missed it. He had just done it, and I forget what was I doing. I think I was at work or something like that. And or no, I was doing a live stream with Zuber or something. I forget. And then
yeah,
I think that's what it was. And so I had just missed it. I was like 10 minutes late or something. Yeah, we're starting to lose the viewers now. That's okay. All right. We just finished travel and league for the year. Nice. Corruption is not capitalism. That's right. 51 degrees where I'm at.
Lucky.
Jeez, yeah, you're lucky. It's a lot warmer here. Heck yeah. We got you. Oops. On tour, Simon, Freddie, and I play catch backstage. All right. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. When you run to the store to buy bread and a cart full of money and someone dumps your money to take your cart. All right. Thanks, guys. Remember to stay hydrated. Will do. Freddie, I teach 5th grade. I'd give you an A+ for your answers. Hey, right on, bud.
I'm going into 5th grade.
Yeah? Yeah, you are going into the 5th grade this year. So. All righty, guys. This has been a lot of fun. I think we'll probably cut it here. We have 96 people watching with 195 likes. $84.99 in super chats. You guys are always so generous with them super chats. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lumberjack Landlord, for being here. I always appreciate all the comments and all the support that you've given for the channel. Man, I can't thank you enough for everything. Thank you, Freddie, for joining in and reading the comments today. I know the viewers really enjoy it when you jump into the live streams and share your opinions and ideas. They always like that. Watching you grow up here on YouTube, watching the different years of you being on the channel, you know, yeah. They're going to see the in the making of growing up, and I know everybody likes like seeing progress. So you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate you coming out here today and doing this with me. You want to give us the sign off?
Uneducated Economist, you let me know.